Hi everybody, Ricky here from Behind the Bars TV, and today's guest is Jay, also known as Ginga Jay, who's not long been out of prison. He's turned his life around, and he's currently at work at the minute. So if we do get a little interruption, just bear with us. But Jay, how we doing, pal?
I'm good, Ricky, man. I'm good, man. How are you?
Good. I'm good, mate. But it's nice to see you. You're out and you're doing well for yourself. Obviously, you're sitting at work now. You've got yourself a job, and you've only
Yeah,
been out a short space of time, haven't you?
yeah. 6 months now. 6 months.
And how long were you in for? Like on this last time?
8.5 years. I
So
did eight. Yeah.
so quite a big stretch, and then to come out and get straight into work. But hats off to you.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I appreciate it.
But your nickname's Ginger J. Would you just like to elaborate on that?
Well, obviously, I like to call it Moroccan sunset. You know, just literally, I'm a rare commodity, as they say. I'm a black man, but ginger. Sorry about that.
So Jay, what we'll do is we'll go back to the start, get a little bit of your background, find out where you're from and where you grew up. So where were you born, Jay, and where did you grow up?
I was born in Leeds. I was born in Leeds, Chapeltown, Leeds, and I grew up in Manchester, Charlton, Manchester, and then moved to London. My mum got a job in London, so I moved to London when I was like 11, 10, 11.
So what was that like for you? And obviously moving from Manchester down to London, you would have had a different accent and everything.
Yeah, it's crazy. I still got it now in words like bath and mum and things like that. And you know the Southerners, they're taking the piss out of me. I'm always I'm a Northerner first. But it was a big change. It was a big culture shock and a big change going at that age, going from primary school to secondary school.
So whereabouts in London was it?
North London, I moved to Ealing in Northolt.
And what was that area like at the time?
It was nice. It's actually one of the nicer areas. Like it's a it's like a suburbs. So my mum had a really good job. And yeah, she got a promotion, moved to London. And so my first year, my first year and a half in London was living in Ealing in the suburbs. So it was like from a council estate in Manchester to the suburbs in London. So it was a big,
Right, so a bit of a change.
yeah, it was a big change, man.
So what was the school like then? What you went out? Did you fit in straight away, or did you find it hard?
To be fair, I fit in kind of straight away. To be fair, the school was multicultural. Um, there was more Asians in the school, so I think they took to me because I had ginger on my hair. But no, yeah. To be fair, the school was sweet. There was no real conflict. It was more the kids learning how to understand me because of my accent.
Right.
Yeah, really. But apart from that, it was all right. To be fair.
So what was the schools like in London? I imagine they're quite bigger than what in like my sort of area.
Yeah, they were huge. The schools in London are big. When I moved, so from North London, I went to East London, and then mum lost her job and things like that, and then that's when shit went in terms of environment and surroundings.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, we ended up in Walthamstow, East. It was ended up in East London and ended up being around East London and the ghettos and hoods in East London, man.
So was it rough in those type of areas?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah,
like a lot
yeah.
of action going on.
Every day it was in so moving from North London to East London, I going from primary school to secondary school, I ended up in one of the worst schools in Britain at the time. It was an all boys school, and it was a worst school in one of the worst schools in Britain for violence. So there was loads of street gangs in this one school.
Right.
Yeah, so from year seven, I was in a gang I was in a street gang, but in school. So yeah, it was a complete different. It was crazy, but it was like because I fitted in, I always fit in. I just
Right. So
Yeah.
what type of kid were you at that age? Were you one of these that would just get into trouble and have a good laugh, bit of a cheeky chap?
I was the class clown. I was literally the class clown. I was just a fat ginger ball looking like a tangerine, just just literally just running around, just being a class clown. But I had a temper on me. I lost my temper very quickly. Than I used to. That's what it was. That even though I was a class clown and funny, I had a temper. So
Yeah.
it was just anything that irritated me. A teacher would say something like that. I was I got expelled from the boys' school because I kicked a teacher down the stairs. Just you know what I mean. So it was two sides of me.
So I'd imagine, obviously, with that sort of character, you were well liked off all the other lads and all the other kids.
Yeah. I've never really had an issue making friends in school or anything like that. Really,
So when you mentioned the gangs, was the whole school one gang, or was there separate gangs, loads of different
separate
gangs?
separate gangs within this one school. And if you was to do go back to 2002, hi, good evening, 2002 to 2004. Oh no, I'm on 2003 to between there 2002 to 2005 7, and look at London schools, and you'll see loads of the violence within the schools was due to gang violence
Yeah,
within the schools, and there's loads of opposing gangs. And this it just so happened the school that I was in a borough of schools. There was 9 schools in 1 mile of stretch of road.
right.
Yeah. So
Crazy.
like we all know school days. Every school wants to fight every school, and every school to win. Like so, but I was in the worst one.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that was that time. It was crazy time.
So at what age were you when you first got in trouble with the policeman?
What age was I first got in trouble with a police? It was year 7.
Yeah, seven, I.
Yeah, it was year 7. It was year 7, 13. I was
So what was that for?
I was beating up a kid in school ridiculously. It was really bad. It was really bad. It was really
Into the
bad.
rival gang member?
No,
No.
just just school. It was just crazy. Like I can't even say because even though I was in this little gang within school, it wasn't like I was a main figure. I was the little puppy. I was one of the puppies. So I was a follower. Do you know what I mean?
Right,
Like the
okay.
older guys and follow them to the wars and stand in the background and hold the weapons and da 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 da. When I was in year 7. But in year 7s are fighting year 7s and year 8s, like for
Right.
clout and things like that, and who's the baddest and strongest.
Yeah.
So it was one of those situations, and I took it too far, man. I ended up putting the guy in the bin, and they couldn't find him. Like he like locked him in the bin, like the big, and I've locked the latch. Couldn't find him the whole day. Police have come to the school and all that type crazy shit. Um, yeah.
Then did you get
So
arrested?
no, because I was young, obviously, and the whole talking in
Yeah.
school, but on the record now in it as violence, as violent youth.
Yeah.
So I had to go and yeah, and then from then, literally a week later, I kicked the teacher down the stairs. So yeah,
That then.
yeah, it was the the teacher was history teacher. Is in a predominantly black and Asian school in the middle of East London, and he was just made a racist comment, and he's teaching us history, and nobody else got what he said due to lack of education, which is no one's fault. But because my mum had always educated her sons on our race and history and things like that, like things that we should know because we're black and ginger, not
Yeah.
just because we're black, but because we look different to any other black person. Do you know what I mean? So I knew what he said, and then when I challenged him on it, he tried to like twist his words to manipulate the class to not believe what I was saying.
Yeah.
So then I just lost my shit, and then he mushed me in my face. When he mushed me in my face, I just attacked him and ended up kicking him. That he ended up running away, and I kicked him down the stairs, and I got expelled.
So I bet obviously you're getting expelled from school, back out on the streets thing will just be escalating, mother.
Yeah, so well, we moved area then. So my mum moved to a nicer area of East London called Barkingside. She's like Essex Barking, but it's on it's on like the line of East London. Um, and the school I went to there, it calmed me down because it was a different environment and things like that and different people. So I was more of the class clown, but I was still getting excluded for all the years, like for stupid shit fights and things like that. And it was like 16 when I started getting in trouble, proper trouble. And
Right, aye.
yeah, 16 is when I fully started doing all the dumb shit.
So when we
Just
were knocking around at that age, like 13, 14, 15, where I was like drinking cider,
yeah,
smoking weed every night, were you doing
yeah,
this sort of thing?
yeah. Literally, with drinking just in my mates in Gary's garage because his dad was a black cabbie, so his house was like he was the lad. So we go around Gary's house and the boys will be in the garage and we're all smoking and just drinking and we got school the next day. The same thing, literally the same thing. And we're on the streets, robbing people, little gang wars with other areas, and yeah, the whole nine, the whole nine. And then I started making money from little things that I was doing, selling weed. And then I branched off from the little gang as the months started ticking, left school, got into college. I moved to a different area. Now this area was really is a serious area. Um, when I moved there, that's when things
So it
really
must have
got
been quite
serious.
hard for you. Must have been quite a bit of pressure on you moving from different schools and having to make different friends all the time, was it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. My whole life I've been on the move. With younger, we always had to move about because of my dad. My dad was abusive towards my mother and loads of things, and he was the fucking idiot. You know the guys that fucking chase the women after they leave
Yeah,
them and hunt them down, stalk them, beat them up, like just for what? So he was one of them. So that's
yeah,
why we was constantly moving. It wasn't because we was ridiculously poor. It wasn't because we couldn't handle it or we was the troubled family in the area. It was literally for safety. The police would come and notify my mum they've got intelligence that he might be trying to get contact or we've got to move again. Don't get me wrong, there was some times when we just couldn't afford it. Mum couldn't afford it. She's got 3 jobs and 4 kids to look after. And we had to move because there's bailiffs knocking on the door and we're eating 1 tin of beans between 3 grown teenage kids and my mum won't eat for 4 days. Do you know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
it was balancing that through my whole childhood whilst moving around the country, so to speak. And then schools, like you said, new teachers, new friends, new faces all the time. Um,
So all that would have had a massive effect on you at just a young age like that, having to deal with all that. And obviously, if you started, like you mentioned, you've started getting into violence and turning aggressive, could be
yeah,
all to do with the way you've been brought up as well, isn't it?
it, possibly. Yeah, yeah. No, possibly. You know what? I've touched on it. I haven't really delved into it, but
Yeah.
it makes sense. It would be make sense.
Yeah. Because obviously at a young age like that, when you're having to deal with all these different things,
Yeah.
and sometimes if you bottle it up and you don't speak about it or you've got no one to talk to, it comes out in some way, and sometimes it comes out in violence.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And yeah, you're completely right. And that's what my bangs were big bangs. Like I'd bottle it up and then when I decided to go, it would just literally it would explode. And the dangerous part was I knew I was doing it
Yeah.
and I enjoyed it to some extent, but I recognize that now
Yeah.
that I can control it rather than say, it controlled me.
So what was happening in your later teenage years, and when did you first experience prison?
So I first went to jail at 19. So in my later teenage years, say from 16 to 20, I was involved. I was in the roads. I was on the roads. I was on the streets. I was in the game. I was selling drugs, walking with guns. I was involved in organized crime. So I wasn't on a low level.
Yeah.
Obviously, I started from the bottom like we all do, and It all happened to be on the area that I moved to, so happened to have these people in it, and we connected, and I got brought into something that was Netflix
Yeah.
drama series, box sets. Do you know what I'm saying?
And
And that,
did you form a close bond with your friends who you
yeah,
like?
very close bond. I was brought into their family because it was a family. It wasn't
Yeah.
like different people from different areas have made something. It was an actual family.
Right.
Um, so I was brought into their family fold of the business and things like that. So yeah, man, and it wasn't just a legal business. Like they had full on legal fronts and not even fronts, legal businesses. Like
Yeah.
so, to everybody, it's like, oh, you was just part of an organized crime family. Everyone knows who they are. This, that, da, 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 da. You lot were just like, like there was some really good things going on. Like they were doing really
Yeah.
good things for the community and for their whole family as a whole. But ultimately, as we know, it's only the bad that shines
Yeah.
rather than but yeah, they brought me into their fold, man, and that was it. It was game over from there. I saw a movie lifestyle from 16, 17 years old in terms of drugs, guns, women, cars, all of these things, the ups and the downs of it. I went through it all before I was 20.
Seeing people getting shot.
All of that,
Yeah.
all of that.
So was this
Um,
sort of thing happening on a regular basis down in London? Because obviously up here in the north, especially up where I live in County Durham, you don't really hear that much of shootings and that. But I'd imagine down in London, there's a lot of that goes on.
yeah, yeah. No, you know what? The media, if the media told the truth about if the media told the truth about London, Manchester, Liverpool, Leeds, Bristol, let's just say there, and even Leicester, if the media told the truth, there wouldn't be no tourists.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like I work in a hotel in central London, and the women that come through, I tell them when they come and say, "Is it safe around here?" I tell them, "No, you are in the most dangerous part. I probably think in England for women, for solely for women. Central London is the
Yeah.
most dangerous place in England for women to be by themselves at night time. Most dangerous place,
Yeah.
hands down. And what the media won't tell you, but and it's the same with the violence and what's actually going on. Like they'll only put up one murder every 1, 2 weeks. People are getting killed. People are getting shot in these cities every single day. Not stabbed because they're only going to put stabbings out there,
Yeah.
but it is what you just said, what you think it is. You can imagine exactly how you imagine. Yeah, it is. It is like that. It is definitely like that, and it's always been like that. It's
Yeah.
it's not getting worse. It's just
It's like you see
it's
a lot
all
of these, a lot of the murders that happen, they never get reported in the like mainstream media or anything, do they? And it's like,
nope. They don't. They do not get reported.
yeah.
So they don't. The Old Bailey is overrun with murder cases.
Crazy. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, what does that
Yeah.
tell you? If the biggest court in the land is overrun with murder cases, but we don't have any idea of 4 of these murders that have occurred.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's crazy down here, man.
So when you were 19, when you first went to prison, what happened there? What was that for?
That was for aggravated burglary, common assault, criminal damage, offensive weapon, affray, double ABH, and Section 20 GBH. But I
So,
got the Section 20 dropped.
so quite a extensive list of charges there. Then now.
Oh, mate, it was. I went through a period where I was untouchable, just untouchable. They were
Yeah.
picking me up for all sorts. They're picking all of us up at some point for all sorts. But every time they picked me up, I was always getting released. Bail, 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 just because they know I might have been some involvement, but they can't. So I'm just being cheeky and I'm not saying no comment. I'm telling them, suck your mum. I was with your wife last night. Da 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 da. Because I'm untouchable. You're gonna release me. It doesn't matter that you pick me up on a shooting. It doesn't matter you pick me up on a stabbing. It doesn't matter you pick me up on suspicion of this robbery or this person's been hurt or that house, because they just kept releasing us. All of us just like,
Yeah.
you're only picking us up because you have suspicion. You don't even have anything. You just know that we're active. So that's you know how it goes. The police will harass when they want you. When they want you, they're just gonna harass the shit out of your whole team. Um, and that's what they were doing. And then, but every now and again, they were getting a charge. So they'll get a common assault. They'll get the criminal damage times two. The aggravated burglary is stuck because I left a glove behind. Like so they got all these little things and just stuck it all in one thing and said to the prosecution, look, we don't care if he's under the fucking age or if he's white or whatever. This guy is doing the most. So yeah, that gave me my first. It got 6 years, 3 months altogether because I just went guilty.
Right.
I just went guilty to everything. Apart from the aggravated burglary, I just went guilty.
So did you get remanded for this, or did you?
Yeah, I got remanded for. At the end of it, I got remanded.
So what was it like for your first time when getting going to prison? Because I remember when I first went to prison, I was 20-year-old. I got remanded, but I knew I was going to prison. The lifestyle I was leading, and I was sitting in the back of the paddy wagon, just bopping away on my way to prison, thinking couldn't give a fuck. But that was the mentality I was in at the age.
Yeah. I tell you what, on the way to prison, I had in the court cells when I had a little cry for my mum, just disappointment. That's all I thought. I was like, "Oh, I'm just disappointed in my mum. I don't care about prison. My mum's disappointed in me. You know that feeling when you know, like, fuck, she's gone. I've let her down ultimately, and that was the only reason why I cried that day. But like you said, straight on the wagon, I was kind of like, oh, okay. I'm
I'm
gonna,
on my way.
I'm, yeah, like I was like, all right, like big chest, big boy pants, like I'm here for it. And then as soon as I walked on the wing, hey Ginge, hey Jay, yo, yo, and then it was like a youth club. It was. I say this to everyone that whenever I get asked that question of what was prison like the first time, people are surprised by it, but you won't be. You know what I'm saying. It was genuinely just like a youth club where everybody knew each other. It was chilled out. It was fine. Good evening. Good evening. It was chilled out.
But that's what exactly the exact words I said when I was doing a podcast and when I've spoke about it as well. When I first walked onto the wing, I was 20-year-old. I was in the young offenders, and it was like being in a youth club.
Yeah.
I had the rave
Yeah.
music on, everyone playing pool, and I was just like, "Fuck, what's
What,
going on in here?"
what is actually happening? So, you got the officers playing table tennis, like it. I was like, what? um some of my mate that I didn't even know was in, he's come, gave me a big hug, put some weed in my hand. He's like, yeah, that's you tonight. Anything you need, come to my cell, noodles, juice. Just I was just like, is this what prison is really? This ain't prison. This isn't what?
But there's a lot
Like
of violence in them prisons as well. I know the young offenders.
a lot of violence, a lot of violence, a lot of violence. But even with the violence, it's like the violence just happens and the day just continues.
Yeah.
It's
But
that's why
for someone walking into prison who obviously if they didn't have any friends, they didn't know anyone, then it's a lot different, isn't it? Like,
Mhm, mhm.
yes, if you're walking in, you don't know anybody, you can't really defend yourself, you look quite weak, then you
Yeah,
will become a target for people, won't you?
yeah, a big target.
This is
Even
what I try and tell like the younger kids and let them know that obviously people go on like we've mentioned, it's like a youth club, but if you can't fight and you can't defend yourself, you're banging trouble in them places, aren't you?
you are in for a world you couldn't even begin to fathom or try to imagine. Because if you can't fight, if you can't even just, if you can't even grab and hold on for your life, you are in, you're in a bad place. You are a very bad place.
So how did you feel when you got the sentence then?
You know what? Because I knew I was getting it, even though I went to trial, I knew throughout the whole trial I was going to lose it. But it's my first ever trial. And you got to go trial, everybody in jail. You got to go trial. Don't go guilty. You got to fight it. Da, 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 da. Like an idiot, I listened. And but I just knew. Like so even when I got the guilt, it was like but I was I'll be honest, I wasn't asked because I knew.
Yeah.
Like my solicitor told me, he said, look, we're going to try with you. You're more than likely gonna lose it. Like you don't it's just
That's
literally, I took it. I had more than enough time building up to the actual sentencing
to get
to
used to it. Like,
yeah, I already accepted it. By the time sentencing come, it was just like, hurry up, get me to court, because you know the whole process of court, the bus in the morning, 6 o'clock,
yeah.
all of that. I was like, get me to court and get me back. I'm not really asked about anything else, literally.
So did you end up obviously going to the adult prisons after that?
Yeah, so it was literally, um, yeah, as soon as that happened, it was within 2, 3 weeks, within 2, 3 weeks of that, of the sentence. Um, no, no. No, I'm lying to you. I was in YO for a whole year. I was in Aylesbury.
Right. Rough place.
Ooh, oh, mate, the YOs, as you know. But that was the jungle at the time. That
Right.
was the lifers prison for YOs. So all the YOs all the murderers, the long-term YOs, that was Aylesbury at the time. And I had all the guys from Manchester, all the guys from Durham, Newcastle, Scotland,
All
all
over.
the YOs, the most dangerous ones in the whole of Britain, UK, all was in this jail at this time in Aylesbury. It was.
Madness.
That's where I met Dubs. That's where I met Dubsino.
Oh, is it
Like,
right? All right.
yeah. Like I said, it was from everyone. They had the craziest and the baddest and the maddest YOs from the whole country. It was like a project that the government had on this time. That Aylesbury had to house the worst. Like, and it's facts. Everyone knew it. The officers would tell you that, listen, they bring the worst of the worst here. Like, you're considered, if something's on your file, security, all of these things, the worst of the worst come here. That's how I met Dubs. Not saying that he's the worst, but
Yeah.
literally they put all the worst terrorists of that generation all in that one jail at that time, and it was absolutely just being a grown man now, and
Says it
yeah,
all.
yeah, being a grown man now and being completely out of that life and being
Yeah.
able to say I survived it. Yo, it was terrifying, Ricky. It was terrifying. Just waking up and that every day that door opened, you did not know what was coming. Like, you just, and I've done 15 prisons. I did ACAT to DCAT. I did Belmarsh. I did Long Lartin. I did the dispersal system. But this jail, oh, it was different.
But shout out to Dubsino for putting us in touch because he was.
Oh, 100%.
I've done the podcast with him. He sent us a message and told us to get in touch with you. So nice one
Yeah.
for.
Come on, shout out Dubs every day, man. That's my boy, man. That's
He's
my
doing
boy,
well for his
man.
sellers, isn't he? Is I.
When he messaged me, I was like, no way is this. I'm not gonna say it's government, but I was like, no way. And he's like, yeah, it's me. I was like, oh, what? And then when I've looked at it, I was thinking, this is why God is so good, um, in terms of the trials that he puts us all through,
Yeah.
and the tests. Yourself, you're providing me with a platform that you've done from scratch, and you've had your trials and tribulation.
Yeah.
You've been through prison. You've had your own. Do you know what I mean? And you're giving back, and I'm trying to get to your position, which is same as Dubzino, which is create the platform. So you guys are inspiration for me. I said this to him, like, I watch guys like you. It's like, yes, yeah, yes, like everything that I'm going through here, you've
Yeah.
been through it. And the fact that you've got what you've got, whatever you've got. I'm not talking about clothes or whatever. I'm
Yeah.
talking about a family unit. Do you know what I mean? You've got some form of stability in your routine, which we know we need a routine. So I look at you guys, and I said it to Dubs. I said, you guys, I'm just following you lot. That's all I'm doing. I'm just looking at you lot. I'm doing my own path, but I'm taking the lessons from you guys.
You're
And
still
Dub,
you're still in the early stages, but you'll get there. I can
yeah,
tell. Obviously, that's why the likes of yourself and Dubzino, who's
mm,
been there, they've been through it, and myself come out, turn
mm,
our lives around, and turn our back on all that. And it's just about letting other people know that just because you've been to prison doesn't mean that you're a bad man. That's the end of the line for you. It's all about
literally,
showing people like you can turn it around and come out and be a good citizen and help other people.
exactly that. And I say to people, the nicest people I've ever met was in prison. The most kindest, nicest people I ever met in the world was in prison. Like, and I think it will forever be like that, seeing how the world is now. But yeah, man, shout out to Dubsino, man. He's doing crazy stuff right now, man.
He's doing well when he's wrapping
He's
up.
doing bits, man. He was. Do you know what the funny thing is about Dubs? Yeah, he was skinny. He was a little skinny. Watch this, and please take no offense to anybody watching this because this was just how it was back then. Like, dude, I'm talking 13 years ago in jail in YO prison. Yeah, Dubs. I really want to say his other name that we used to call it, but I'm not going to. Dubs, yeah, was literally the only, the only Irish, Irish traveler, Irish white boy in this jail that was predominantly 90% black boys. And I mean 90% black boys from all over. And I mean gorillas. And I
Yeah.
mean murderers. I mean these guys are putting people down in every day. They're putting knives in necks and Dubs, I swear to you, was the only one, yeah, from where he was from, nobody troubled him. When I mean nobody troubled him, and it wasn't because he was the craziest, it's because he carried himself a certain way.
Yeah.
Like he carried himself a certain way, and everybody respected him. He only fucked with certain people. He only had conversations with certain people. And I said this to him. I remember what he was like. He said, I remember what you was like. Do you know what I mean? So, and it was just all these years, and look, only good things. And we all started from such a bad thing in such a bad place. So this is just beautiful to me, man. So like I said, it's only love from me to both of you, man. Real shit, man.
But like you say, you're still in the early stages and you'll get there. You'll just keep progressing. You're on the right path. Think positive all the time. Look at you sitting there now, sitting there working,
Yeah,
doing it.
literally. It's gotta be done. Oh, the night
So
shift.
what happened then when you were, what adult prison did you first go to?
Um my first high point, HMP High Point.
Was that on that same sentence? So you progressed on to, went from,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. So they had me in Chelmsford, which was half YOY, half adult. You know when they used to mix the, when they mix them,
right,
they
yeah,
used to mix them. They had me on the YOY side. Then I went to YOs, and then I went to HMP High Point, and then I finished. Yeah, that's where I finished that first sentence. The 6 years, do three.
yeah. So what was it like for you then when you come to the end of your sentence and you knew you were getting out? Did you, was your mentality change at that point, or were you still in that young head and just ready to hit the streets again?
Yeah, I was ready to hit the streets, man. I was more than ready. I was ready to hit the streets, man. I was unruly. I was big. I was healthy, more stronger, smarter. I was just ready. I was hungry, and I got released. I didn't know. I got emergency release because they messed up my release date on paper.
Right.
So I got the elusive knock on the door, pack your bags, come on, let's go. Yeah, so I got that one and got out and got straight back to where I started doing the comedy like I said earlier, but the money was just too appealing and the whole notion of the team, the man them and the hood and all of that shit that doesn't mean anything.
Did you get
And
back into the CM crew?
yeah,
Went
yeah,
back with the boys and all
yeah,
right.
yeah, straight in. Straight in. I got brought deeper into the family fold because I stayed shut. I stayed stum. I
Done your
didn't give.
time.
Yeah, I took my first sentence. I took the sentence for three of us. So I did it by myself. So obviously with that
All right.
comes no. Yeah, you know how that goes. Notoriety, more respect, things like that, more responsibility. It wasn't like I was the biggest man or big man. I wasn't. It's just that I just got more free reign to do whatever the fuck I wanted to do without being questioned from the big man. Rather, it was more like, okay, I'm gonna help you with this rather than question me and make me do shit. He was just like, yeah, go on, do it. Do you know what
Yeah.
I mean? So yeah,
So how long were you out then before you went back in?
7 months, 7.5 months. Right.
So I bet it was a mad 7.5 months, or was it when you were out?
Absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. The amount of work. That's what we call it, mashing work. Well, that's what we used to call it. Okay. But the amount of work, the amount of activity that I was putting in those 7 months, I count my blessings and I give thanks every day that I went to jail for what I went to jail for.
Yeah.
Just because of those 7 months. Like I genuinely do. Like I will never be able to speak on those 7 months.
No, I can imagine.
I would, if there's any part of my life that I actually can't ever speak on, is those 7 months of my life. Just because if I do,
But you
that's
can
it.
just count your blessings that you're back out and moving on.
Literally,
Getting into.
literally, definitely, every time, every time.
Did you ever get stabbed or shot at yourself?
Yeah, so I got stabbed in my mouth when I was 16. I still got that there.
Right, yeah.
So, um, I went through my mouth, through my teeth and whatever, and I ripped it off. My lip and my tooth was hanging out, so I had to rip it off because it was just hanging. Um, I haven't been shot. I haven't been shot, no. But I've been around all of that stuff.
In around
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I've been stabbed a couple times actually. I forget. I just been stabbed a few times. I've been not slashed properly, but guys have tried to open my throat up and things like that from behind in jail and things like that. And
Right.
luckily got away with it and ended up with little gash marks. But I've been stabbed a couple times, yeah. Stabbed in my mouth, got stabbed in the back of my leg. I forgot about that. On my arse cheek as well.
Just forgot about
Yeah.
that one.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
So what did
yeah.
you do when you went back in then? And what was that for?
So that was, I got 14 and a half years for conspiracy to pervert the course of justice with hand grenades and the shooting. So that was the circumstances of the charge. The charges, I was originally arrested as a terrorist on terrorism charges because hand grenades had been used within the crime, and they've gone off in the house, and shootings have happened, and an attempted kidnap of a public figure and a solicitor, and so much things in this one case. And because whoever my associates were, they're linked to these things and these syndicates, and it was crazy. So, and I got picked up on T charges, and then it dropped down to double attempted murder. Then it dropped down to going equipped with a weapon, and then being involved, and then explosives. There was so many different aspects, but they never actually stuck to the point where they were going to throw the whole case out.
Did you
They were
get
just
remanded for that case?
got remanded for the case. I'm not going to say I was on the run, but they were looking for me for 2 weeks. They picked up everyone straight away, but I wasn't running. I actually wasn't running. I was just in between houses. I was just going from hotel to hotel within the actual area. I wasn't anywhere actually.
So when you
Um,
got remanded, the investigation must have went on for a while, did it?
yeah, yeah, yeah. The investigation got remanded, and then the investigation went on for 15 months, 15, 16 months.
I bet that was a long time on remand, waiting, not knowing what's going to happen with the outcome.
Oh,
Because I bet
long
you
as
could tell you were
nothing.
expecting a big sentence, were you?
Well, it was so because the charges dropped, because the charges kept dropping, we thought they was going to drop it, and then they hit us with conspiracy to pervert the course of justice. So with that, the conspiracy aspect told us, all right, cool, we're getting a big. We knew we was getting a big one, but with the perverting the course of justice, we're thinking perverting the course of justice. You're not going to give us more than 7, 8 years, like each. Do you know what I mean? 7, 8, 9 years. You know what I mean? Because no one even got hurt in my case. So and then they come with conspiracy. It's like, oh, you bastard.
And
It was,
conspiracy's just as bad as the actual charge, isn't it?
yeah, you like you bastards. And that was a few months after they changed the whole law of conspiracy and made it thing that basically there's no guidelines, there's no sentencing guidelines for conspiracy anymore. So conspiracy just holds 99 years you can get if you've got conspiracy. So when my solicitor said that, said, yeah, you're looking at life. Like, what? Like, you're looking at life. That's what conspiracy does. Like, the judge is going to be able to give you a life sentence now without any evidence or anything. So yeah, from there it's like, yeah, looking at a big one. And then during sentencing, the judge said, I want to give you a recommendation of a life sentence before parole, but the evidence won't support it and I would win on appeal. He said this during my
Right.
so I'm gonna give you the most that I can regarding I'll give you 14 years, but the time that you've been in prison so far isn't coming off the time. So you're starting your sentence when you finish your old sentence, which was a month after the fucking sentencing. It was so yeah, so that's why it was 8.5 out of the 14 rather than 7.
Right, got you.
So that yeah, so that 16 months I was remand, that should have it was
Was there any mention of IPP at the time?
good evening. No, 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 it was just life.
What year was that?
2015 was that the case went ahead.
Oh, wait,
2014.
obviously the IPP was abolished by then wasn't it? So,
Yeah. That definitely would have. That definitely would.
yeah,
Me both know that wasn't abolished the year beforehand when they were all kicking off.
yeah.
That I
So,
would
look,
have been.
that was abolished before you got sentenced because, oh, absolute nightmare of a sentence.
They tried the EDS. They tried the EDS thing because of it, and
Yeah,
I had a good barrister. I can't lie. Barrister jumped straight up and said, no, 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 no. If we're gonna do that, then we need a whole new trial.
yeah.
And when my barrister went into that, they said, "Oh yeah, yeah, cool, sweet." Prosecution just dropped the whole argument, so I was fortunate there.
But just for the viewers that haven't been to prison that don't know about it, the EDS sentence, what we're speaking about, was the extended detention sentence. And you can actually serve the full sentence on that, can't you? And then you're on a extended license.
Yeah, yeah. So they could, with the extended sentence, I have to with that. So with the extended detention, I would out of 14 years, I would have had to do 2/3 mandatory, and then get permission through parole if they were going to release me. So like Ricky said, they could have made me do the whole 14 years, and then I had to go through parole, and then they could extend my license if they wanted to by another 14 years once I'm getting released. It's all what they want to put on paper.
Yeah. Another crazy sentence, isn't it? That just fucking.
It's it's fair enough. All right, crimes get committed. All right, it's cool. Punishments have to be. People have to pay their dues, right? But make the punishment reflect the crime.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying don't punish. Like, I deserve to be punished for what I did. Facts. But make the punishment fit the crime.
Give people, like you say, an end date, like an end, like the IPPs, like myself and Dubs,
Yeah.
sitting in prison without a release date. And that's the worst ever.
What? All right, cool. I'm not saying that the victims are not um hurt and traumatized for it for life, because every victim of any form of whatever is gonna cool. But
Yeah.
wait, hold on a minute. You're going to give somebody 2, 3, 4 years IPP for a robbery that somebody just got 6 months for. Good evening. It just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense, and it's just a constant.
So when you got the big sentence, where did you go to then?
Oh, that's when I went on tour. That's when the tour started. So that was Belmarsh, and then sentenced in Belmarsh, and then from there went to Dispersal because I was high risk E list at the point of when I was going through trial. My last trial and sentencing, I was E list. they made me Elis because I kept getting caught. I got caught with a couple of phones whilst I was in Marsh, and I was on DOC. That was 23 and a half hour lockdown. On top of that, so I was on 23 and a half hour lockdown, E-list, high risk E-list,
Were you cut here as well?
Cat A,
So did you
um,
have the jumpsuit on as well?
jumpsuit, everything, the banana suit,
Oh,
everything, um, cuffed. I was cuffed on the wing to walk to the yard, so nobody, like, just to get fresh air. So nobody, that's how they fully treated me. So then as soon as I got sentenced, they got me out of there to Long Lartin, and then I was off the high risk E list within 2 months of being in dispersal.
and where did you go to Lawton?
Yeah, Long Lartin, yeah.
So the Cartier high risk prisons is totally different to the any other prison, aren't they? Because obviously I was in Frankland prison.
Okay, yeah, yeah, totally. So, yeah, you already know. It's it's the best type of prison, to be honest with you.
Yeah, they're the best jails because there's not a lot of violence, but when it happens and it kicks off properly,
Yeah,
doesn't it?
yeah, someone dies.
As
Some
it
some
goes for like prisons, you can cook your own food, you get out a lot more, get more gym, better jobs, and it is
yeah,
out of the prisons. You are good prisons, apart from like you say, when things kick off, goes off big time, doesn't it?
yeah. When things kick off, someone's dying basically, or they're enough nearabouts because it just doesn't go off at all. Like it was the most quiet piece of bird I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the nicest. And you got cuisine from everywhere. You got unks, from Pakistan, and he's doing his thing. He's got his chef apron on. He's the chef downstairs in the kitchen on the twos. Then you got big unks, the Rasta man in the kitchen on the threes. Then you got Big Steve, and he's the Englishman. He's doing the breakfasts every day for the gym guys, and you know what I'm saying? Like everybody had their, you know how it goes. You can go to different kitchens and get different cuisine. What you have in Indian today, Ricky? Yeah, I want Chinese. Oh yeah, no, I'll go get some Jamaican.
Yeah.
Like, and and the officers respected us. They showed us respect. Like, and that was a very big thing for me to see,
Yeah.
to experience. Like officers showing me respect. Hmm.
It was the
Like,
same. Like when I went from Durham to Frankland, like everyone was calling the screws by the first name, wherein the other nicks you call them like boss or
yeah,
gov.
yeah, Gov, yeah, SO, CM. Like it's all acronyms, but literally it was, yeah, Bob. Who's Bob? Bob. Bob. Stephanie and
Mad, isn't it?
it was mad. And the way how they spoke, yeah, just call me your name, anything you need, come see me. And then when you go there and you need something, they're getting it done. And they're trying their best to actually do it. I was just like, wow. So I did go through a lot of hard times in there because of certain things. But if we're just talking about the jail and the prison and how it was as an environment or whatever, as a ex-prisoner, as an ex-con, no complaints, to be fair with you, because it was actually peaceful.
Well, you come across some serious high end criminals in them prisons as well, don't you?
Serious,
Was there
serious.
Colin Gunn there at the time when you were there?
Colin,
Colin Gunn, because he's
yeah,
still
yeah. Colin was gone when I was, yeah. Colin was there, but he was in the block. They kept him in the block.
right.
Yeah, they
He
kept
was
him in
up
the
at
block.
Frankland when I was there, and then obviously got moved around. But he's there. I think he's 18 years. He's still cut here high risk, the
Yeah,
longest
yeah,
high risk prisoner.
yeah. He's he's not getting it. He's not getting it. He's not getting it. He's not getting it.
No,
As sad as it is, 18 years and he's still on the book.
still on the book. It's crazy, but he's still high risk as well. Like fucking, and high risk is like more or less like double cut here, isn't it?
It's double cut A. You've got to go. Is They don't review it. It's 10 years before they even do a review in it,
I'm
something
not
like
sure.
that.
It's a long time, Mark.
Yeah, it's a long time before they even do one review. So he's probably had two, and he's still high risk. Yeah, he doesn't care. He's done. He doesn't care anymore.
So did you have any trouble whilst you were in the dispersals?
Yes, with the brotherhood,
Right.
because I'm not one, and all my coldies were, and the boss man, he's a big figure and all that stuff. So he was keeping up with a lot of stuff, and where he can't be touched, as you know,
Yeah.
because I'm the Cody, I'm not. it just all went all onto me, and fighting for my life, man. Literally fighting for my. I got out of Long Lartin due to one of the brothers who was very close to me as a friend. Um, and he come to me with the knife that they give him to say, "Yo, you got to put it in his neck." Because everyone they sent to me, I was fighting back, or I was getting whipped, and then that, and then running back to my cell and closing the door and locking it back, and then laughing in their face like like all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I was getting away with that in dispersal, Ricky. Like, so you can imagine,
It's a bad situation to be in, isn't it?
right? And I was unruly. I was like, I don't care. I haven't done nothing wrong, but you lot are trying to bully me, because that's what it was. Because it was a case of, right, cool, for you to get out of this problem now, you have to convert, or you have to revert, shall I say? Like, no, what? No, why am I gonna? I'm a Rastafarian. Like, the way my beliefs are so close to your faith. Why do I need to?
Yeah.
It doesn't even make sense. And they wasn't even trying to hear none of that. And yeah, it got to a point where he's come to me and said, look, they've given me this to get to you because they know I'm the only one you let get close to you. He
And that
said,
was
get
only, and that was just because you wouldn't convert.
that was because my Cody, he was doing things that he shouldn't be doing as a brother,
Right.
as a Muslim. He shouldn't be doing certain things, but because he's a brother and he had hierarchy, he can't be touched. And then he was putting it on me. He's saying it was me. I had no idea what was going on.
Right. Got you.
But as you know, the brother's word is gospel in there. It doesn't. I was by myself, so yeah. He said, get off. He said, go block yourself off right now. I said, no, block yourself off, Ricky. That's what you told me to do in dispersal. Dispersal. I was like, no, 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 no. I can't have that. That's not a bad. That's not a good look. That's
Yeah.
not a good look on my name. That's not a good look. And then one of the elders come to me. Good evening. One of the elders, the Rastafarian elder, Errol, he come to me and said, if you don't go, I'll just knock you out, and they would have to put you in hospital. And that was it. That was all he said. He said, if you don't go, you got a choice. You can end up in hospital from my fist, or you can go and save yourself. I said I had no choice.
Yeah.
Good evening. So it was like I was met with good violence and bad violence. Which one do I pick? That
Bad
was my.
situation to be in.
And that was it. I picked the guy that knocks me out to put me in hospital to save my life. But either way, I'm going to end up with a broken jaw. Something's going to end up fucked up, or I just think I am this crazy bad boy and I can take on the world and everything else.
And
But
then
really,
be a light.
I end up dead. There
Yeah.
wasn't going to be. It was just going to be death. So I made that decision, man. And boom, I just sat in the phone box, and the officers come past and I said, "Go into the block." I was like, why do you say that? I said, well, do you think that we don't know what's going on? Like, we've been watching you fight for your life for the past 2, 3 weeks, and you haven't come to us, and we don't know why. But you sitting there tells us you're going to the block. So sweet, let's bang everybody up. I'll call the SO in the block and get you down there. They've been waiting for you. I was like, what?
Okay, no.
What? Because it was back then. It was such a normal thing for prisoners to have problems with the brothers. They had a wing for prisoners with the brothers. Went to the block, and I ended up being in the block for 3.5 months. And within that stay, Bronson came through. The highest, the high, the people don't know this, but there are human beings, yeah, that the government hide from even prisons, within prisons. And I only learned this because I've actually met a few of these guys. So there's people that have been to the segregation system within the dispersal system, yeah, for the past 25 years, Vicky.
Yeah, I know. I've heard of it. But people, like you mentioned in there, people think because Charles Bronson is like everybody's heard of him. Charles Bronson is nothing compared to some of the blokes that's in them blocks, is it?
I was with Victor. I
Right.
was with, yeah, see, so I don't you already know. I just say Vic, and if you know certain age group, I was with Victor when Victor was I was on his food boat. Look, I'm
Because he
getting
killed a couple
tingles.
of people in prison, didn't he?
Yeah, yeah, I'm getting tingles talking about him.
Aye.
Wow. When I met Victor, that is when I I've been around people that have killed people. I've been in the environment, I've seen people kill, I've seen people do all these things. Cool. When I met Victor, I've never seen something so dark, something so cold. Like I've never felt a presence like it, ever. Like, and I was surrounded by the gorillas. I've been surrounded by the gorillas, like yourself.
Yeah.
This guy that have you met? Did you ever meet him?
I didn't meet him, but the way you're explaining it, the one person I've mentioned before who I met who was exactly the same was David Bieber, who killed the copper,
Okay,
American
okay,
fella.
yeah. That
His
Victor
eyes,
was known.
his eyes were just black, like a
Yeah,
shark. He was like,
yeah, yeah. No, his eyes. There's forget nothing there. I just think I don't even think he had eyes. Like it was just like
just pure evil.
pure, pure on a like if evil lives anywhere, it lives here. And this is the person. And I was on his food, and you know what the maddest thing is? He was such a nice guy. It was so weird because he was known as the hitman within prison, within the dispersal system, because he'd killed a few guys in there for money because he was doing life anyway with chicken bones. I don't know if you heard about it. He sharpened the chicken bones, the
Oh,
chicken leg bones, taped them to his wrists like Wolverine. And because he knows all the taekwondo and all of the martial arts, because he's Filipino, he trained in it when he was a kid. Went and did a madness and left over 50 holes in the guy on the landing. And that
oh,
was his first. That was his first hit that he did in the system. The other one was he picked somebody up. He did the same thing. Um, Opened them up in the net and threw them over the landing, but he survived. But he took that person 18 months to recover in hospital. And
oh,
then the third person was when I was with him. So he, this was so weird, man. He told the governor, do not put me in work with this guy. He said it to the governor in front of everybody on the wing on a Saturday. The governor said, Victor, we know what you're like. We'll make sure he's not working with you anymore. Victor then looked at the governor, you know I will kill him. Do not put me with this man in front of everyone. Monday morning come. Victor's come to my cell. He said, Ginger, the food in the fridge is yours. I've got this. I'll see you later. I said, what's that? He didn't even say nothing. He said nothing after that. He just said, I'll see you later. He walked off the wing to work. 10 minutes later, alarm bells. Another alarm bell. Another alarm bell. Oh shit, we know what that means. The triple, the quadruple alarm bell. Oh, it's lockdown. It's going off. I had no idea it was Vic. Officers to come back on the wing because I was the main cleaner. They only keep the main cleaners out when it's a serious situation. So I was one of the main cleaners. The officers are coming back on the wing. One of them threw up as he walked back on the wing. Another woman, she left the job that day. She went straight into the office, packed her kit, and left the job. Nobody ever saw her again. And the younger one, he came and just sat on the sofa. He was grey, white. He had blood all over his boots, his bottoms, but no blood on his top half. It was wrong. He just lifted up his boot, took off his boot, and he had pieces of skull and brain matter in his boot. And he said, I just walked on top of a man's head and I didn't even know I was walking on it. Victor took a stone, a big boulder stone out of a fish tank, the big fish tanks that we have in the wings, took one. That's what he said. That's what he said. I'll see you later. He had the stone. I was like, what's that? I didn't even. He went and crushed the man. Pummeled his head to pieces in the workshop in Long Lartin. Crushed
okay.
his head to pieces. Like the officer ran in and didn't realize he was running on top of brain, skull, and blood. That's how there was nothing there. Like, and me seeing that reaction, I was like, what? And then Victor, get this, Ricky. This is why I say I've never seen nothing like it. And that's why I don't want to hear about Bronson. I don't want to hear about who's the baddest guy in prisons and this, that. This man walked back to the wing with every single governor and every single officer in the prison following him back to the wing, covered and drenched in blood and brain, whatever. He's looked at me. He said, Ginger, I'm taking the food. I'll see you later. He went to the fridge. He took the big Dutch pot of rice and chicken that he cooked, the special, because he did a bad boy Filipino chicken and rice thing. Big pot of carrot juice. He's got it and he's walked off the wing. They followed him to the block. They didn't touch him. They didn't do nothing. Ricky, a week later, I'm in the block because I attacked one of the SOs. Victor is being let out of his cell to cook his food in the staff microwave.
Fuck you know.
Tell me, have you ever heard? I witnessed this with my eyes. All of us, anyone that was there, we all witnessed this, and we was like, it's unheard of. How do you kill somebody, but then get red carpet treatment because you're that feared? He was that feared.
Because he's like, you see, he's that feared, he's got nothing to lose. The screws will be frightened that he's going to attack them. So
I see the biggest people, baddest people crumble when he walked past. Crumble, and he's my height. He's 5'7", long ponytail, got the Bronson glasses. That's where Bronson got the glasses from. People don't know this thing watching these films. Them glasses, Victor gave him one of his pairs all those years ago.
Fucking hell. So he'll have been in the block ever since that, then, huh?
But since Long Lartin,
He'll probably not
yeah.
get off the block now, will he?
Oh,
Victor.
he's dead. They killed him.
Oh, did they?
They killed him, man. So he was going trial because he said no. I told everybody, even though he's a natural lifer, he's like, no, I'm not. Even though I did it, no, because I warned you lot. I gave you lot the warning that I stuck to my conditions. So he was taking the jail to saying, you lot put me in a position. I told you don't put me there. You've got psychiatric problems. Send me to hospital. You're not sending me for that. That's what Victor was doing. They sent him to Wood Hill. The trial's going on, whatever. Somehow Victor's hung himself in the block in Wood Hill. Now, Ricky, tell me, what block have you ever known anybody to hang themselves in the block?
Madness.
In this day and age, it's not possible. Remember, all the services are all, there's
nothing to hang nothing off, is there?
There's nothing to hang off, but yet still this man hung himself. That's what they heard. That's what we heard.
Right.
No way. He just had way too much information.
Madness, sir.
Good evening. But
Well,
yeah,
like
that was my
people like this that people never hear of. And there was a bloke in the block when I was down in there, Franklin. I think he was called 30 or Ferdinand. He was from Brazil.
Okay.
Yeah. He had an altercation with a screw and he tipped a pan of hot oil over the screw's head. And the screw suffered so badly after that, didn't recover from it. He ended up hanging himself, and they've kept him in the block ever since.
Yeah.
He's like on 10-man unlock, and he's like treated like an animal.
Yeah. Yeah. I managed to get myself up to 6-man unlock.
No life, is it?
I can't, there's no point in me trying to explain it. Like, there's no point in me trying to explain what the feeling is, because there's no words for the feeling, because this only happens once in your lifetime. Do you know what I mean? So it's not something that's going to happen again and now I can gauge it. All I can tell you is being on any man unlock is, oh mate, it's the most restrictive. I can't see anything being created within the system that could be any more restricted than being on 2, 3, 4, 5, 10-man unlock.
Yeah.
It's, oh mate, nothing happens. If they haven't got the manpower, nothing happens. Like nothing. You don't eat. Altogether, my whole sentence, I spent 7.5 months in the block.
So where
It
did
was
you go from Long Lartin block then?
Long Lartin block. I went to Wood Hill. I was in Wood Hill for 5 months. I ended up getting a screw on the payroll, and off the back of that, the man, them snaked me. The guy that I had close to me snaked me and tried to get the screw from under my feet and go in with other people, and it just all got mad, and the riots kicked off on the wing. So then I got shipped out from there to Manchester, Strange Ways, and then was in Strange Ways for a week, and then they put me in Grendon, Therapeutic Community, and
Right,
that blew my mind. Therapeutic Community blew my mind. That changed. That's when I had a wake up call in prison.
right.
Therapeutic Community. It wasn't me almost dying out and getting killed or all these things. It was Therapeutic Community that made me go like, wow. I've been looking at shit the whole.
So what actually was that moment were you doing a course or something?
So Therapeutic Community, Brendan in prison is it's just therapy. It's not actually a course. You're just in therapy 24/7. It's just therapy. From the day you wake up, from the time you wake up, time you go, you are in therapy, and it is relentless. Even when you're not doing nothing, it is relentless. Your brain is constantly moving, and it works. And I don't know why every single prison
Like a relaxing atmosphere, was it?
it they force you, like the way how they conduct it and the way everything they do, it forces you to challenge yourself as a human, as a man, as a criminal, as the future person you want. It forces you to challenge and accept all your things. And if you can't do it, then you fail at Brendan. They just kick you out. Not ruthlessly because they do try, but they just kick you out. If you're not ready, then you're not ready. It's that simple there. And I wasn't ready. I lasted 4.5 months there. But what I learned, I've taken with me and I'm going to take with me for the rest of my life. Like, if there's a prison that works in this world, Brendan, it works.
So when you were saying there, like you had that moment where you thought, what was the thought you were having? Were you thinking, was you thinking about the future and you wanted a better future for yourself?
It just, I was just forced to accept what a fucking idiot I've been. I was forced to finally accept all the letdown, all the pain, all the drama that I've caused, all the hurt, all the disappointment, the burden that I had been. I was forced to accept it. I had no job. That point in my life had come to hit me. And it hit me there when the therapist was talking to me about my mum and asked me things about my mum. I'm saying, I don't speak about my mum, don't ask me. But then they asked her question in such a way, I ended up telling her everything. And I was breaking down, I was sobbing, like that ugly cry, like all choking, everything. And it all came out. I ended up speaking to her for like 3, 4 hours. And I was so tired after talking to her. I don't think I've ever been so tired in my life. I literally just went upstairs and went to my bed and I slept for a whole day. They didn't come and trouble me. When I woke up, the therapist coming home, leaving, she's come and spoken to me and said, you slept for 24 hours whole day. Like that's called a revelation. That's called it's out now. So that's what happens. That yeah, she like that's what happens when you get rid of it. When you finally get rid of it, you have nothing left, and your body has to reboot. Said don't make the reboot be for nothing. And it always that will always stick for me. Just that analogy and how she did it. She said, "Your body's just rebooting now. You finally got rid of the virus."
Changing your mindset.
Yeah, and since that day, I haven't. I've just constant training my mind, training. And even when I do lose my temper and whatever, I am mindful that I need to calm back down. I need to, you know what I mean? And so Grendon works, HMP Grendon.
Was this near the end of your sentence?
No, this is just in the right before the middle,
Right.
kind of like this is the right before the middle. And then I got kicked out of there due to smoking weed because there's zero tolerance for drugs and violence. Um, Smoked a bit of weed on my birthday, whatever. and then sent me back to Manchester. Well, I went to Bullingdon, but that was an overnight stay, whatever. Went back to Manchester for 6 months, and then went to Swellside,
Right.
mate. Swellside. That was Swellside was the to be continued of Long Lartin.
Whereabouts is Swale side at again? Is that on the, is that the Isle of Wight?
Isle of Sheppey.
Isle of Sheppey, all right.
Yeah, the cluster, of the three jails, the three, four prisons. Like, it's just an island for prison.
What was
Yeah,
that like?
Swellside.
Yeah, that was quite a rough jail as well, isn't it?
Yep, yeah. It's like every time I touch down into one of these places, the time that I touch down there, it's the roughest place. I don't. Every time I got so Aylesbury is the roughest place. Like, so Swellside was like the to be continued of Aylesbury and Long Lartin all in one. Um, the jungle.
Back in the mix of it again.
Everything you've heard, probably facts,
Yeah.
probably truth, probably like 100% true, like hardly exaggerated. That my first day there, I saw a man get an ice pick in his face 10, 15 times, and the officer stood next to him to block the view for the other officers so the other officers couldn't break it up because this officer was on the payroll. I was like, oh my God,
Fucking hell.
I didn't know, mate. I just watched an officer stand guard for a prisoner to get stabbed in his face. I was like, this was my first day there. I was like,
Fucking hell. Serious shit.
it was, I was astonished at that. I was astonished. I was astonished. And then, like I said, it was a continuation of Long Lartin. So the brotherhood, as you know, the grapevine travels quicker than than a phone call out here. You know what I mean? So yeah, that was it, man. I was there for a few days and that was it. I was in the mix. My cell got robbed whilst I wasn't there. The officers that were on payroll are knocking off the landing so I can get rushed by three, four of them. Um, Crazy stuff. Crazy. Yeah. But then it all turned on its head and I ended up becoming a mentor whilst I was in Swellside
Right.
and ended up mentoring the VPs. So in Swellside, they had the nonces wing, the predators and all that separate. And then they had a VP wing for the actual vulnerable prisoners, for people that were self-harming, drug addicts that couldn't just couldn't get off, deadheads, um, and just really soft guys. Not being harsh or anything, but that's what they were, just soft. They
Yeah.
just committed the white collar crime. Putting them on one of the main wings doesn't make no sense because they got money. Yeah, they're soft guys with lots of money in their bank that they'll end up broke in 24 hours if you put them on a wing.
Oh,
You know what I mean? So I ended up becoming a mentor on a mentor's landing. So I was still in general population. I still got normal movements. I could still go wherever I want, gym, normal. We're all normal prisoners, but I got my level 2 mentoring um, qualification and started mentoring the prisoners, man. And I found that mentoring other prisoners and the younger prisoners was actually helping me now.
yeah.
And yeah, I found solace in giving people help.
Making you feel good about yourself now that you're helping other people.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. And just being somebody there to help people where I wish I got help, you know?
Yeah.
So it was, I managed to turn, whilst I was in the world of fire and negativity and pain, I managed to find a peace in mentoring
Yeah.
and just stuck with that. And then from there, they gave me my CCAT quite quickly because I was being good now, behaving, I'm showing change, I'm showing growth. Um, Went back to High Point, sent me back to High Point. Uh, and High Point was just like, um, where was it?
Them Cat C prisons are quite lively, aren't they? Like compared to the
Lively,
Cat.
lively. So I've left Swellside, which was probably the liveliest prison I've ever been, to go to a CCAT where these guys think that they're the guys in the BCAT that I've just left. Did that, you know what I'm saying? You lot are pretending to be the guys I've just left. like, stop it. You know, so,
Little
so
one of
literally, yeah, like, so not all of them, but
yeah,
listen,
a lot
where
of
I
them.
just come from, you lot stop your shit. You know what I mean? Because if you lot go there, you're puppy. You're not even a puppy. You're still in the ball sack
Yeah,
furthermore. You know what I mean? So when I got there, I just took the ranks to be. I used my rep, I used my brawn, I used my strength, I used my smarts. I needed money, so I got a screw on the go. Got an officer on the go straight away in, and I was just minding my own business, making money, flooding the jail, all sweet. That all went topsy turvy again as you go, as you know. Everybody wants to be the big boy and whatever, but because I was the big boy, but nobody knew, the people that knew didn't like that.
yeah.
So that all went shit, and then I was in the block there for 3 months. After no 2 months, 2 months. And then I got shipped to 10. But I'm not. I was banned from London. I wasn't allowed in London prisons after I got sentenced. Like all London prisons, I wasn't meant to be. I'm not allowed to be in them
Right.
due to association. So they sent me to 10 by accident. I was in 10 for a week and a half, and then the government come to my cell like, "You gotta go." I was like, "I'm done." They opened my door. Said, "You got to go now." I was like, "What do you mean? What's going on?" I've been asking to go. It's like, "No, you got to go now. Pack your bags. You're going now." Literally. Um, and then where did I go after that? I went to Onley, Leicester, back to Onley, Kirkham, Wymont.
Kirkham's a cut day, isn't it?
Yeah, I went Kirkham, Preston. Yeah,
Did you last long there then?
18 months.
All right, sorry.
Leaving, leaving. Um, just under 18 months. I'll say I put it pretty well with. What do you
All right,
think?
definitely. Lasted longer than most of them, haven't you? With your record.
This is that. It's because of it's only because of COVID
Yeah,
that
right, the
COVID.
hard.
Yeah, that's the only reason. If it wasn't COVID, I was 6 months max. um, but yeah, DCAT. I think after everything I've just told you, DCAT was my most horrible time mentally in prison.
Because the slightest thing, you're out of there, aren't you? Back chat to the screws, you're gone. Fucking anything.
Walking on grass.
A lot of grasses in there as well, isn't it? Because they want rid of people. So
Oh mate.
I've been a cat day myself, but I've heard all about them.
Oh Rick. But trust me. Be happy you didn't. Because if you're an honest person, you're a true man and you're true to the game. Do you know what I mean? Like there's no snitching, you're just honest. You're true to the game. You know the rules. You abide by the rules of the game. DCAT isn't for you. It, oh,
I've heard
it,
all
oh,
about
and
it.
they dangle it in your face like you're not gonna go see your family on the weekend. You're not gonna do that. You think you're gonna go home? It's like, oh my gosh, like it's really horrible. It's a really horrible place. And I seen, like I said, it was the hardest out of 11 years that I did in prison. That was the hardest piece. I've been through war. I almost been killed numerous times. I was in the hole in Belmarsh. They put me in the hole in Belmarsh that nobody seems to, this elusive hole that doesn't exist.
Yeah,
I was in it. Like facts, it's on paperwork. I've got the paperwork in my house. Furthermore, um, DCAT was the worst.
hardest timer. So
It is
did he get
horrible.
kicked out of there and went to Preston?
I went to Weimar.
Right.
Yeah, and sent me Weimar. Fucking Weimar doesn't make sense. I don't know how you had half a non. I don't. It doesn't make sense that job. But I was there for a month, and then they sent me back to Only for local release, and then I got released, man, 6 months ago.
So what was it like coming up to your release date and knowing that you were finally at the end of that big sentence?
Couldn't believe it.
Bit
If I'm being honest, like I just, I didn't think it was real. If I'm being honest, I was getting ready to be attacked again. Like so I don't get out. Or like I was genuinely just waiting for someone to come and attack me, like to get caught slipping. to be killed or something. Like I don't know. Like I don't know. I was expecting the police to come up and say, "Oh yeah, you thought you was gate arrested, you mate, another 15 years." Da, 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 da. I just couldn't believe that I've made it.
But the night before you're getting released as well, so obviously with me being IPP, I found out I was getting released, and I think it was about 2 weeks beforehand.
Mm.
Yeah, they're saying you're going to get released on such and such a date. But even the night before it, you're sitting there, you're thinking, your head's all over, and you think, fucking hell, am I really getting out tomorrow? Like
I,
you're seeing there, you're expecting something to come and say, oh, you're not getting out or something. It's
yeah,
fucking.
you just you see everybody, you see people getting released, and you don't ever think it's a reality for yourself. And like you said, that night before, there's, I took a sleeper. I took a sleeper and a half. I, I had to. There was no way there was no way I was going to go to sleep. And then even then I was still waking up a little bit, just it's like my body was fighting it. But I woke up bright and early, 5 o'clock in the morning. Just sat on my bed, man, and I was just looking, just taking in my environment for the last time.
So what was it like when them gates opened then?
Ooh, oh, I was dancing. I was dancing. I've got my release video. Hello? I've got my release video, which has fortunately given me a platform on TikTok and Instagram. It sent me viral. I was viral for like a whole month. Because I
did,
come out the gate dancing.
did you have a
Like,
song or something on?
yeah, Beyonce, You Won't Break My Soul. Sorry, no copyright. I do not own the song. I don't want no copyright infringement. Sony, whoever owns the shit, Def Jam, Jay-Z. Listen, do not sue me. I've only got 300 in my checking account. I'm just letting you know.
But what I'll
But
do as well
yeah,
is I'll put all your links in the description. So if anyone wants to go and follow your channels, go and see what sort of content you've got on there.
definitely, man.
Check it out.
Definitely,
I'll have
man.
a
I
look at the links.
appreciate it. I appreciate it. I appreciate it, man. I had to come out dancing
We came out
because,
dancing.
yeah, despite all this whole conversation we've had, and the stories of it seems like it's all bad, but it really wasn't. I really was dancing on the landing every opportunity I could. My speakers were banging out loud. My spot was the safe space for a lot of prisoners, a lot of us. Do you know what I'm saying? I was a safe person for people to be around in there, and I realized that when I became a mentor, that people came to me just to feel safe, not because I'm going to protect you, just because that's the aura that I give off, or you know what I mean. So I always danced and smiled and laughed. Like I said, I'm a class clown before anything.
Yeah.
So comedy and things like that was a big thing for me to do. I'm always practicing comedy on anybody I'm around, and they don't know it. Um, so in my head, everyone's like, "Oh, how are you getting released? How are you gonna get released? Who's coming to get you? Who's coming to get you? You getting the boys? You getting the boys?" And yeah, I could have got the boys and whole champagne and strippers and limousine and music video and da 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 da. Not saying it's bad. It's not bad. It's just all been done in it. And my thing wasn't. I didn't want to come out and break the internet. I didn't have. I just wanted to come out and be me, and I wanted to capture it. So I told my girlfriend at the time. I said, "Listen, um, come out to an old school hip hop song. Shake that laffy taffy. You know where they used catch it. Do, 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 do. And I wanted to do that just for a bit of fun, so all my people can just have a laugh and just watch the video back. That, but then You Won't Break My Soul, Beyonce's You Won't Break My Soul, was just been released on the radio, and it's everywhere. It's on the radio, and I'm a Beyonce fan. Like, I'm one of the biggest Beyonce fans you probably meet. I'm going to be at a concert front row, kicking all the girls out the way, trying to get to her. Like, that's how much I love Beyonce. And my mate come out as I was singing it, You Won't Break My Soul on the landing, everybody. And he said, That's what you sing. He said, When you get released out of those gates in 2 days' time, you're going to sing You Won't Break My Soul. Taking everything you've been through this past decade, look at where you are, look at how healthy you are, and you're still singing and dancing. He said, When you get out the gates, make sure that song is playing. And when he said it, it's just like, so I did that, make sure it was being filmed, and yeah, it provided me with a platform. Without that song, I wouldn't have gone viral on TikTok the way I did and gained fans, and then Instagram, I wouldn't have gained traction and been able to become the comedian that I want to be, which I am today. An entertainer. I'm not just a comedian, I'm an actor, I do music, I do entertainment full stop, I'm a host. Um, I'm just forever grateful, man. And
Like you
that
see, I think
song,
for a reason as well, don't there? And obviously that song that's come out at the time just fitted right in with what's happening with your life, wasn't it? So,
it literally, it couldn't have been anything. There's no way it wasn't meant to be.
oh, yeah,
That's the only way I look at it. The signs exist. Do you know what I'm saying? Signs really do exist. Um, as a man of yourself that's done the IPP, I could only imagine what that doing that sentence was like. That's a whole different prisoner. Do you know what I'm saying? We're around prisoners. Um, you know that signs we have to listen to. For a man that survived IPP, signs exist.
the actual recall, because I've been recalled. I was out for nearly I was out 9.5 years and I got recalled back to prison. And the recall was actually worse than serving the IPP.
Good evening. Good evening. That's and everybody says that the
Yeah.
actual recall is worse than it because you
It
know
was
you
the
should.
worst thing that ever happened to us, but it was also the best thing because it actually rerouted us, like you mentioned before, and it fucking brought us back to my senses. And that's like, that's it. You know, that's me. I'm
Yeah,
done.
yeah. You was you able to re-ground yourself? Is like
Yeah.
that. See, that's
But the difference was this time when I went in, I was married and I had 4 kids and I had a business. Whereas when I went in when I was 20, I didn't have nothing and I wasn't bothered. This
yeah,
time, I lost everything I had. Temporarily lost it, but I lost it at the same time. And that's
mm,
what made us think like, I need to get me shit together and sort it out. But I'll live my best life.
that's it. And that is all it's about. Live your best life, and that is all I'm trying to do. I'm trying to give myself what you gave yourself.
Yeah.
Something, a family, a unit.
But like you see, it's good to give back. Makes you feel
Yeah,
good, doesn't it? When you're doing
yeah.
nice things.
It that's what I'm doing now with so I'm putting on my own shows called the Ginga Jay show where I'm putting on live stand-up comedy and live music and live spoken word.
And have you
Um
already done these? Are you in the process of doing that as well?
I'm in the process now, so my first actual show that I paid for all by myself, it's all done independently. Everything I've done by myself is on Friday, the 3rd of March, so in 2 days' time.
Right.
Uh,
Oh, good luck.
yeah, man. It's
That's
like
actually on my birthday as well.
is it your birthday?
I'm 3rd of March.
Oh, then I'm gonna shut it down for the both of us. I'm gonna. Don't worry, and the clips will be there. I've done a few stand-ups. I've done a few stand-up clubs since I've been out.
How do you
Getting
feel?
the
Do you
feel
feel
for it.
comfortable when you're doing it?
I love it.
Yeah. Oh, nice
I
one.
I love it. The stage is my home. I don't I get nervous on the way to the venue.
Yeah.
As soon as I'm in there and I see the stage, it
That's it.
literally just I see the crowd, I get more excited. I don't get
Yeah. Don't get
it's like
nervous. You get
yeah,
stuck on it.
it yeah, the lights they attract me, they don't push me away kind of thing. I'm literally like a moth to a light when it comes to the stage.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Nice. So what's happening with you like home life now? You got your own house and stuff?
Yeah. So probation was shit when I come out. I thankfully got a decent probation worker now. She seems to be working with me very, very like they say they will. She's actually doing what she says she'll do. So
Yeah.
I've got my own place. I managed to sort out my own place through a housing association. So yeah, I sorted out my own place within 6 weeks of me getting out. Um, and that was forced upon me through probation and the hostel. But either way, yeah, I live by myself, well, housing, shared housing. I work full time. I've got a full time job on top of me doing the socials. I'm an advocate. I'm becoming an advocate for women with long term partners in prison, um, because I feel like there's not a male voice out there for them that's with lived experience. You know what I'm saying? Like that can be there with the women and help them understand what their partners are through
Right.
on the other side of the wall.
Point
Because
of view,
we don't tell them. We don't tell them what they should be hearing from us when we're in
yeah.
there. So that's what I'm in the process of starting up. I'm trying to find a name for it and get it copyrighted so I can fully do it actual properly as a charity. Um, and yeah, I'm in the midst of a podcast, but I can't even speak about that to be fair, because that's like top secret stuff. That's me being, but yeah. So amidst everything else, I'm not trying. I'm just being the person I was always meant to be now.
Yeah.
You know, with the lessons learned on my journey, on my life journey so far, I've just tried to implement them where I can and just keep learning and just growing. I'm trying to grow with everybody out here and find out how life is, and I'm here for it, man. Here
Nice one.
for it.
It's good to see that you're doing well for yourself. And like I say, you're just at the beginning of your journey. Things are just
Yeah,
going to get better and better.
definitely, definitely, definitely.
But it's good to see. But obviously we'll keep in touch, and I'll keep the viewers updated, and I'll post everything, dates and that you've got coming up for your shows and stuff. And I
Yes,
wish you
that
the best luck for the future.
my brother. Listen, I can't express to you how much I appreciate this. But you know how much I appreciate it because you
I've
know,
been,
to anybody watching this, this might just look like a normal, all right, cheers, mate,
yeah,
sweet, but we actually don't know how to express to each other just
yeah.
how much it means. But we know, like, we know
Oh,
this. You know what I mean? So we can only end it like, mate, take what and but the first time I meet Ricky, it's going to be a big hug. It won't be a handshake.
horses.
Do you know what I mean? Like, so to anybody watching this man right here, we've never met,
Yeah,
but we've connected.
that's it. And that's what
And
it's all about.
yeah,
You're on your new journey, you're connecting, you're meeting people that you would never have met if you weren't on that path, far from
and
obviously prison, but
the beauty of it is the accents, the difference in our cultures, and just what's going on in today's society.
yeah.
To have you as a white man, successful from where you're from, and then talking to me as a black man from down here, from where I'm from, but we're connected like that.
That's it, I meant.
Do you see what I'm saying? Without us opening our mouths, we will be perceived and judged straight away.
Yeah.
But then if they hear us talking to each other, they'll be like, so
Exactly. Yeah.
Ricky, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to join you on your platform, man. And I'm forever grateful for you, man. And I will be up there soon doing shows in Manchester and Liverpool. So I'm
I'll be
gonna be
down to
coming up
watch you.
there anyway.
I'll be
Yeah,
down to
most
see you
definitely. And I'll
100%.
I'll let you know, man, and we can just link up and get some food. But thank you so much again, brother. Thank you.
I always finish my podcast with asking the guests this one last question, saying, what would you say to the kids now going off the rails, getting into trouble and doing what we were doing at that age? What advice would you give to them?
I'm not gonna tell you guys what you've been hearing. Don't do it. Stop it. It's not good. Because you already know that, right? Here's what I will say to the kids. This is the message I have to the kids. You're not bad. You're not on it. You're not gang. You're not on smoke. You're not. I guarantee you're not because everybody that thought they was are either dead or in jail. And the people that can't speak anymore can't speak because they're dead. And the people in jail anymore can't speak because they're in jail. So my question to you as the youth is, where are you trying to be with all of this gang, roads, crimes, whatever you're doing, thinking you're big and bad for whatever reason? And I understand there are some actual proper reasons as to why people do it. But you remember this, see that choice that you make every day to go and do the stupidness that you're doing. It's another burden you're bringing on your family. It's another burden you're bringing on everybody around you. And you see, when you do end up dead, because you will die, you will get killed. or you will end up in jail. There's no two ways about it. It actually doesn't work. Nobody actually cuts through. Even a person that you know never went to prison, he's either a snitch or he's going to end up dead or in prison later on. It does stop your shit, right? Make a choice, make a decision, make a goal, make a plan, and make 3 of them. And just go forward, man, and live your life with no apologies. Because I guarantee you, this shit that we was doing.
Absolutely bang on, mate.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate the time, brother.
It's been a pleasure, mate. But like I say, we'll catch up at some point, and
Definitely.
man to man.
Definitely. 100%. I'll be up there in a couple months anyway, like I said.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll let you know, man. But thank you, man. I appreciate you, bro.
Next one. But thanks for watching, everyone. Take care.
Peace.